We took the trade short. Now, how do I manage my stop? What am I doing to make sure that if this thing starts to go against me, I make sure that I either lock in profits or minimize my losses, because that's what we get paid for as day traders, swing traders. You have to understand that you have to manage your losses accordingly. Keep them small. That way, when your winners win, they are bigger, and you're winning on a more consistent basis because you did not stick with a losing position that you could have easily prevented. And this came from a lot of lessons learned, guys. Obviously, you guys seen that I've taken some losses before, big losses, because I got stubborn. So let me just show you what I do to manage my stops now after learning these big lessons. So basically, we got into the trade as I showed on the last video. We got into the trade right at 935, 936, let's say, when we have a confirmed break below the pre-market low. So we got in either right at before the end of this candle, or even if you got in on this candle. And obviously, we were in. We're riding low. Obviously, the stock did continue to move lower for the rest of the day. And if we layered into this position correctly, let's say you got in, you got 2 contracts, and then you decided to get 2 more or 1 more. However the case, you got in. Now you're in. The first candle, before the 30-minute candle is closed, your first stop is going to be, you can set it to the same scenario, guys, either the pre-market high, the 200 MA. In this case, because we're pretty close to the pivot, I would have personally set it to the pivot, but that is all based on your account size. I would say you definitely have to manage it accordingly. So you have to take into account this move. So this is a move here of an extra $2. So you kind of got to take that into account depending on your account. So if you have a small account of $3,000 or less, $5,000 or less, you may want to just keep your stop probably at this 200 MA, and a close above that may be perfect for that. So your initial stop is going to be, let's say, that 200 MA. So we're going to head and move it down here on this 30-minute candle chart. And then we're going to do the same thing on the 10-minute candle, because now I'm going to manage my stop based on both. So now when the 30-minute candle closes, I'm going to move my stop to the high of that candle. So this is my new stop. So now at 10 o'clock, I'm watching, hey, if this starts to rally and it hits that, I'm going to get out. That's going to be my stop. So yes, I am going to take a loss. Now, as the 10 o'clock candle closes, now I'm moving my stop even lower. So I'm going to go ahead and move my stop to the 10 o'clock hour candle. Okay, so that high, a close above the high on the 10-minute is going to determine my stop. So now, this is the 10 o'clock candle here. So the high was around 978.94. So that's going to be my new stop, guys, okay? So now, on the 10-minute, I'm just going to go ahead and monitor that. I'm going to set an alert. I normally just set an alert, not actual drawing. Or you can set the drawing and then just create an alert based on that drawing. So I'm going to watch this, and I'm going to wait for a close above that line on the 10-minute candles. And as you can see here, it keeps hitting it, but it never closes above it. I wouldn't have gotten out of this until it hit this candle here at 11:10. Why? Because I want to let my winners run. I don't want to get out too early. I don't want to get squeezed out on a fake cap bounce or a short squeeze. I want to make sure that I'm getting out for a legitimate reason. So what am I looking at here? Okay, 10 o'clock set a new low, and now we're setting higher lows throughout the morning, but still hasn't hit my stop. So I'm going to respect my stop, because like I always say, have a plan, trade your plan. And unless I get significant buying volume, buying pressure coming in, the tick or the VIX starts to crash and the tick starts to hit the 500s and the 1,000 levels, I'm not going to just rush out of anything. Most of the time, you're going to see candles like this anyway, so you can wait for the close. Because you don't want to do this. You don't want to get out on this candle when it went all the way up here, and then it just completely closed below it, and then let's say this would have continued lower. You would have just got out for no reason. And yes, that's fine. You could always get back in. But don't rush out. Don't make irrational decisions, especially if you have a cash account. You may not be able to get in multiple times, in and out multiple times, so you have to take that into consideration. And having a plan and a system like this will keep you safe, will help you lock in profits and minimize your losses overall, okay? So once again, let's move over to the next day. All right, so we're back at the 10-minute candle here. So again, you got in on this position. Again, we did go in short. So again, your initial stop is going to be that pivot, guys. The pivot is going to be your stop. And again, it's going to be a close above the pivot. Okay. So now, looking at the 30-minute, it just so happens that once that 9:30 candle closes, the pivot is the high of the candle. So we're going to leave our stop there. Once the 10 o'clock candle closes, we're going to go ahead and move our stop down to the high of that candle or just above it. And that's going to be our new stop to lock in our profits for the day. And then we're going to monitor throughout the day on the 10-minute and wait to see if our stop changes. So now that hasn't changed, you hit your limit. So you would have took some profits here on some or all of your positions if you have multiple. If you kept some, then you would have just moved your stop even lower to the 10:30 candle high. And once again, you would have just waited for a close above that. And if you had more positions, you could have closed it on this candle right here. And obviously, as you can see here, the day was pretty much choppy after that. And it just stayed hanging around the pivot for the rest of the day. So you would have been fine doing just that, okay? Now let's move over to a day where you actually get stopped out. So the next day, same scenario. Let's say you boxed it in. That was your decision for the day. I'm going to get in based on a break high or a break low. So in the same case here, obviously, you took this position low, and now you set your stop at the high of the pre-market initially, and then you set your stop at the high of the 30-minute candle for the 9:30 candle. Boom. Okay, now your target, once again, on the 10-minute is going to be this pivot low here. It failed to go lower, but it did continue to make lower highs on the 30-minute, so you moved your stop even lower to the high of the 10 o'clock candle, which was 267.56. So now that you've done that, this is your new stop. So now as the stock starts to rally, fails to, it kind of touches your stop here, but it doesn't go higher. On this candle, it went higher and closed higher. So you go ahead and close out. So if you entered a new position here today, you would have got stopped out at a slight loss. The position from yesterday, you would have still collected some premium, some profits, and you would have been just fine. And that's pretty much how I manage my stops, guys, on the 30, based on the 30-minute candles. It's just too easy. It gives you a system to follow. And when you follow that system, you will let your winners run. Because when you have winners running, and look at this example right here. Let's say you would have gotten into Tesla, back into Tesla, after you got stopped out on this nice pattern here. All right, it hit the pivot, and it failed to close above the pivot. You have basically a double top here, and now you have a nice pattern forming on the 30-minute, and now you have a double top forming on both the 30-minute and the 10-minute, and now you have a bearish engulfing kind of saying, hey, we're going back lower. And you could have took this at any point here, basically. Once this pattern was formed by the 12 o'clock candle, at 12:30, you could have just jumped right in, right on the 12:30 candle here, I would have. Or you could have waited to this 12:40 candle here once it confirms the break below the pivot. And now look at what happens. When you're right, you are right. This is what happens now. So you set your stop, your initial stop to this 30-minute high here for the last candle, and then you're just going to follow it down all the way down, guys. So this is your new stop. You're managing on the 10-minute candles. Okay, so the high is your new stop, and then you're going to go ahead and start moving that down. So you're going to start moving it down on an intraday basis. That way you make sure you lock in your profits. It starts coming down against you. There you go. And then you move it again. See? It starts to follow you. And now you notice that, hey, I'm right. When you're right, you are right. You will stay being right, because these are the kind of moves that you want to kind of manage and see. That way you just wait for these kinds of move and see. And if your target was to close by the end of the day, as you can see here on these 30-minute candles, the stop was never hit and nothing ever closed above these highs. So as you can see here, you continue to move your stop lower, ever lower. And you see, look at these 10-minute candles. Never did you get a close above those highs again for the day. And now this would have been a nice little run that you would have had taken advantage of, but you managed your stop accordingly. So that way, this doesn't go against you, because nobody really knows what the market is going to do. At any point, the market can just completely break down and sell off, or a rally based on some news or anything. We can only trade what we see, and we have to manage it. And if we have a system to apply to that, this is what's going to keep you constantly profitable and successful on your day trading career if you decide to do this full time, guys. Anyway, guys, this is it for today's video, or for this video. I will see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below.